Today is the day that we finished the bodywork on the S14. It's been a journey. I made good friends with the wall. There was significant damage to that driver's side tail light and that whole corner, essentially. We've since pushed that corner back out with the hydraulic ram and done our best with a hammer and dolly to start shaping that metal and getting it to resemble what it's supposed to look like again. I mentioned that we have a bunch of these little holes from using that stud welder and pulling the metal back out, and I need to go through and patch those. So, we're gonna be welding some stuff today. I'm actually gonna be trying something new here. So we have the TIG gun out, but instead of using a foot pedal, I'm using this little hand pedal for the first time. Normally I use this foot pedal for any TIG work, and you control that with your foot to control the amperage of the welder itself. This isn't even like technically the right use case for it. It's more because sometimes you have to be in like really weird upside down situations trying to hold the TIG rod in one and the TIG gun in the other. You don't have a foot pedal up here, you know what I mean? I could for sure get away with using the foot pedal here while I'm working on it, but I do want to try out that just because why not try something new? I'm gonna go ahead and get the tail light out and then I guess just start patching. I'm gonna go ahead and start cleaning up all the areas around all the little holes, wipe it down with acetone, and get to going. That's why you always want to clean it first. So this metal is really, really thin. I want to run our amperage really low. Like I want to try maybe 34, 35-ish. I was practicing a bit. I got a sheet of 18 gauge plate steel and I was just seeing, you know, what burns through, what doesn't burn through, what's too hot, what's too cold, all that. And even 18 gauge near the edge, I was burning through. I'm not good at welding. I'm practicing obviously, but everything I learn is just like self-taught in YouTube videos. I mean, I'm thinking I just kind of I think I just try and see what happens, huh? That worked really well. Right there was a hole, and now there is not a hole. And then I'm just gonna grind them all down once I'm done. I'm gonna work on these bottom ones first, because there is like there's a backing, there's like the inside of the quarter panel that's gonna help it prevent, you know, just melting straight through. These ones might be a little bit more tedious, but I'm gonna start with the easier ones down here. All of those little holes are patched on the whole side of the quarter panel over here and ground down to the point that it's smooth, nothing grabs, there's no high points or anything that can't be covered by Bondo. The goal is obviously to have the Bondo as thin as possible, just to, you know, smooth everything out. Not what they did on the S13. The goal is to absolutely not use that much Bondo. So far though, I'm pretty happy with how that's coming out. I think it's time to move on to all these. Let's knock these top ones out first. Just like that, we got no more holes up on the top area, and now we do have a lot of holes in that little pocket area. Whew! Okay, done. We got all of the holes, pretty much everywhere that I could find a hole is patched. I also made this hole exist again because that corner right there had ruptured, so I just filled it with MIG wire and got that solid again. All of the factory spot welds had ripped off, obviously, so I threw some very ugly MIG tacks just kind of throughout this seam and grinded them down, and now the whole thing is one piece again because all of these panels were separated. Same thing up here. There was a spot weld up there that broke, so I just, again, super basically and ugly tacked it on. You can see there was a lot of porosity in my weld because I couldn't clean that seam as good as I wanted, but I mean, it'll hold, dude. I'm not a welder at all right? I'm learning. I'm actually really happy with, like, everywhere that I could actually clean thoroughly, all of those, like, little TIG weld tacks to patch the holes, those came out great. All of my MIG welds were, really porous. You can see the bubbles in there just because I did not clean it, but I mean, it'll do. Like I said, whenever I used to wiggle any of these, everything would just be like, and now it all feels super solid and one piece again. Looking through it from the inside, there is no light coming in, so everything is nice and sealed. I'm gonna go over all of these seams with seam sealer, just like they were from, like, all that gunky old stuff is the old seam sealer. All of this stuff, I'm pretty much gonna re-seam seal, like, everything in here and out here, just make sure everything's watertight. Yeah, I think Gavin's coming over tomorrow to help me bondo everything and really get it ready for paint. What a fun project. Who would have thought that hitting a wall would lead me to learn new things? I guess I would. That makes sense. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Gavin is on his way over to help me with the bondo, which is really the final step for the body work on the quarter panel that I made a little whoopsie on. Aside from that, and then paint also, all we really have are these old hood pin latch holes that I really want to get rid of. I'm sure there's a world that I could use the old trunk. That was just prying it back with pliers, and that shaped it decently. If we lift this up though, you can see there's some metal bending in different spots, and even though it looks relatively straight to the naked eye, trying to get this to fit even with the new hinges, I just think it'll be more work than it's worth, just fighting like little mini bends and warping. Plus, I think it could be a good learning project for me to try to weld these closed and get that looking good again. Old trunk is definitely not junk though. That is definitely salvageable. Cardboard has been our biggest friend at this project, but I think you can see what I'm going for here. I just gotta trace that inner line because I want to cut out a patch for it essentially. And I think the more accurate our patch is, the less work it'll be in the long run. Okay. Yeah, okay, so we just need that, essentially. There's definitely a right way to do this, and this is not it, but it's always worked for me in the past. You just set your phone up to where it's completely perpendicular, or I guess that'd be parallel, actually. Completely parallel to whatever you want to mimic. That way you're ensuring there's no distortion, which would, you know, affect the measurements. Make sure everything is in frame. You can see I went ahead and got a couple measurements there so that when I'm modeling it, I know how to scale everything. Now we import this into Fusion and essentially just trace it. And again, it's not going to be like perfect, but I can hit it with a angle grind. I mean, the goal is just to get it to fit into this hole with as minimal gaps as possible so we can weld it flush, grind it down, bondo over it. Here is our part. It looks like I was able to get the cardboard trace line pretty on par. I had these little reference marks, so like that line is 1 inch. This middle line here is 4 inches. This one is 1 3/4, and it all lines up with the sketch perfectly. So I'm gonna try cutting one of these out. Here goes nothing. Beautiful cut. But now, all that really matters is seeing how this fits in the hole there. Okay, hold on, I need 2 hands. Dude, I'd say that's pretty good. I gotta grind all this down and see what we're really working with. But that looks pretty good. Let me check the other side. Because in theory, they should be symmetrical, but you never know. Yeah, okay. I think just a little bit of trimming with an angle grinder or something, and that should be great, actually. I'm gonna go ahead and cut out one more, because obviously we need 2. I should probably cut out more in case I mess them up, but we'll be fine. There he is. You ready to be done with this S14? Yep. Gavin's gonna go through and start sanding this down because we have to Bondo and then primer over that. I'm gonna get the trunk off and start pretty much doing the same thing, but just around the edge here, getting everything clean and ready to weld. Of course, I literally just got done talking about how like, oh, I'd rather use an uncrashed trunk to model everything off of so there's no weird bends and whatnot. As I'm grinding this down, this entire trunk was made out of Bondo. So this was clearly in a rear end accident and someone tried to fix it. They did a good job, it looks like, but there's definitely a fair amount of Bondo there, which explains why, because I was wondering why there were hood pins in the trunk to begin with, because usually you use that if your latch doesn't work. So this definitely was in an accident at some point and then probably swapped to another car. The latch was probably fixed, they kept those in, who knows. Realistically, I'd probably be better off using my stock trunk, but just in the name of science, I do want to practice some super thin sheet metal TIG welding, and because there's already a lot of Bondo here to begin with and you can see it's a little bit warped, I'm not gonna try to make it perfect. You know, I'm thinking we just use a magnet to hold it roughly into place, put like a tack and then another tack, and just kind of keep hammering it. Heat is going to be my biggest issue here because this is so thin. This is 18 gauge. It's very heat sensitive and super prone to warping, and this is already a little bit warped, which explains the Bondo. But this really is the perfect practice trunk now, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to bring it up to the welding table over there and see what I can do. There's where we're at so far. This is really, really, really thin. I burnt through once over there and once over. That was my first attempt. I burnt through instantly. But I've noticed if I start, so I guess the 18 gauge is actually thicker than what the trunk is. I thought they were both 18. So I'm starting the heat on the plug and then just really quickly bringing it over to try to connect the, bridge the gap there with the tack welds. But so far so good. I'm gonna let it cool. Cooling is the biggest thing here. So I'm gonna have to do like little tacks, take a break, little tacks, take a break. It's gonna take a while, but eventually we should have all the way around. Got the trunk back on and I have my plugs installed, but as you can see, there are still a couple holes here and there, and I mean the welds are god awful. Not only was there a ton of Bondo on the trunk, but you could tell that someone had already gone through and grinded this, like even right there, it already cracked from being too thin, and that was before I even touched it. So of course I tried to do the right thing by getting a non-crash trunk, and I actually got a trunk that had been more crashed than mine. But what Gavin's gonna do, you said you have some fiberglass filler to go over the holes?
Yeah, it's like really thick, like strong stuff.
That'll cover everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just back tape it.
For sure. I was gonna go through, and like you can see I did some of them. I was gonna go through and like tweak out, making sure I filled all of the little holes with weld, but because it was so thin, every time I touched it, the hole just kept expanding and expanding, and it was just, it's a nightmare. Honestly, this was more for just welding practice than it was for actually making a decent trunk, but I learned a lot. That being said, that's what I'm gonna do for welding, and then Gavin has that fiberglass reinforced stuff that's gonna go over that to seal everything. I wanted to put like an aluminum block on the other side while I'm welding to help with heat, but it's hard to get in there unless I cut this out. I don't want to do all that. I think we're just gonna glass over it and then Bondo. This corner is just about ready. I also cut out a little circle to plug where the antenna went, and we're gonna go over that as well. It's just about go time though. I think I've said this multiple times throughout this series so far, but I'm beginning to have like a basic mechanical understanding, and like when it comes to pulling the S13 KA and like rebuilding that, I have a decent amount of confidence. But anything and everything bodywork related, like everything that Gavin's been helping me with, is my first time completely. I'm watching how he does everything and learning from him. Because you said you worked at a body shop professional, like it's not just a hobby?
Yeah, for about 6 or 7 years. Yeah.
6, 7. God damn it. So yeah, he has real, actual bodywork experience. And I'm very thankful that he's like a homie of mine that lives close and is willing to help me learn.
Mainly on paint work and like light bodywork, not like metalwork or anything.
I mean, you did pretty damn good.
I learned that on my own.
Okay, but professionally you did?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I did like prep work and light body.
Okay, and then everything else, like the metal work, he said is self-taught. But yeah, so he's going through and masking everything, because like I said, I think I kind of messed up on this. I should have just done a couple tacks, like one there, one there, one there, like what we did for the antenna hole here. I tack it in place, and then he goes over it with, what's it called? Fiberglass resin?
So it's this stuff. It's kitty hair. It's like fiberglass filler. It's really thick stuff. Like that's literally resin in there.
So it's like Bondo on steroids?
Yeah, it has fiberglass like strands.
Oh.
So it's really strong.
Interesting. Okay.
Like Kevlar and stuff.
Right. I think if I were, I'm glad I got my practice in welding super thin sheet metal, but to do this the right way, I think I should have just done like tack, 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 and then go through with the filler and do what we're gonna do now. Just because if the trunk wasn't already all warped, and you can even see like up here, dude, there, come on, focus. See those little teeny tiny dots? That's all porosity from someone else's previous welds. So this has been cut and welded and cut and welded and bond, a lot of bond. Like who knows? I don't understand what happened to this trunk. It does work out because it was nice for me to experiment on. But like I said, I think I went a little overboard with the welds. I should have just tacked it in place and filled over it. But again, that's all a learning experience for me. Ooh, I love the smell of that. I don't think that's good. It looks like a super nice like fine dining course or something.
Yeah,
like,
charcuterie.
Yeah, yeah. See, I feel like this is the satisfying part of bodywork, when everything just kind of gets smoothed out and starts taking its final form. All right, Gavin is heading out for the day. I'm pulling this thing out and putting this in the sun so that'll dry. Tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day that we Bondo and prime and get it fully ready for paint. She may not look pretty yet, but she will. Mark my word. I mean, you guys saw the before. We're making progress for sure. This has been a fun journey so far. Catch you guys tomorrow. Okay, day, who even knows what we're on of this whole S14 ordeal. Gavin pulled back up this morning all of the, so is this called Bondo or what is this?
That's
like filler?
it's just fiberglass putty. It's just a really strong like body filler.
Okay, we have the fiberglass stuff on, and that like filled all of the big gaps, any imperfections and whatnot. Now we're gonna go through and sand that smooth. Gavin was saying that we might want to do another layer somewhere around here once we fit the tail light to get any like last minute fitment things fixed. But all of this stuff is just time to sand down and put regular Bondo over it. It's all new to me, so I'm just kind of watching how he does it and learning and trying stuff myself. Oh no! I had one job! Alright, so this is the second coat of that fiberglass reinforced filler. We got that sanded down to looking pretty good. Still gotta go over these little trunk patches, but we're ready for the final layer of this stuff.
This is like a ultra fine finishing glaze. It's just a really light body filler.
Okay.
Easy to spread. You take like light things out with it.
That looks like some delicacy 5-star meal too.
It's like toothpaste.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's really satisfying. I don't know why that's so satisfying to me. Okay, I've been in that respirator all day. A couple hours of sanding and putting on Bondo and sanding and Bondo and sanding and Bondo. And this is where we are at. It is nice and smooth to the touch, and we are ready to lay down the primer. The trunk still needs a bit of work. We still just have the fiberglass filler on there. I'm gonna save the trunk for another day. We got it like filled at least, but the main thing I'm concerned about is the actual quarter panel itself. I'm gonna try to do this myself now that Gavin's kind of showed me how to do all this. There it is though, and it's time to lay down the primer. Went ahead and got the car masked off. We got the quarter panel here, and then we found a pre-existing ding from when I bought the car. Figured while we're here, might as well patch that too. Obviously, we're gonna be repainting the car. I want the whole car to be the same color again. I think I'm going a different color actually. Realistically, we're probably gonna re-prime everything we're priming now. We just need it to be sealed so I can actually drive it without worry, because the Bondo, Gavin was saying it's porous and it'll take in water, and we don't want that. So we want everything sealed. So that's like one step up from rattle can?
Yeah, this is a catalyzed can, so you take off this little cap. This comes on here. You pop it on the bottom, and then it breaks a seal in there and puts the hardener in it. So
okay.
Now this has a hardener.
So it's like a step up from rattle can, a step down from spray gun?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's like a decent rattle can.
There it is. We are letting her sit out in the sun for a bit just so everything can dry. Again, I don't think this is the final prime. Like, this is just to seal everything. We'll probably sand down everything and hit it with an actual paint gun once we decide to paint the car. I am like so unbelievably stoked on how that, I mean, dude, the before and after is crazy. We'll let this dry, then I'll remove the tarp and kind of show you what we're working with. Gavin, you are a magician. Thank you very much, kind sir. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'm so happy with how this came out, dude. There it is. And obviously you have to look past the mix match colors and everything right now. The whole car is gonna get a respray. I still gotta go through and do some fiberglass work on the bumper, so we're not done yet. But look at how good that quarter panel looks. Like I'm pretty mind blown, to be honest. Here is what it looked like before. Very much not good in any way. And here is what it looks like now. And I'm so content and happy with how that came out. Up next, I'm gonna take everything that Gavin taught me with the quarter panel and work on finishing the trunk and getting that done and primed and ready for paint. Look at how good that looks though, dude. Like the body line, it looks normal again. That's crazy. I really can't say thank you enough to Gavin for pulling up and teaching me some basic bodywork stuff. This exceeded my expectations in pretty much every single way, and it's been cool to document the journey. All we got left is the trunk, and then we go ahead and paint the car. And then the S13, we gotta pull the engine and get started on that project. It feels good to have this project pretty much done, but this is just the beginning of some other projects. Appreciate you guys watching and following along, and I'll catch you next video. Peace out.